Hi friends, I'm excited to share Suqqu's new autumn-winter collection for 2024. In the collection, we have a new blush formula. I believe we have 6 shades in all. I requested 2 signature eye quads. I have both the Suqqu Comfort Lip Fluid in 3 shades, one of them being limited, and the Moisture Glaze Lipstick, 3 shades and also 1 limited shade. This is called the Miyabi collection. It's the new collection inspired by the Japanese aesthetic concept of Miyabi Yaka, which expresses elegance and refinement and strongly associated with transition. And within this context, Suqqu writes, translates Miyabi as the flowers and trees changing with the seasons and the sky changing color in the course of the day, with the larger theme of the changing of seasons. And being an autumn bae as I am, autumn is my favorite season out of all 4, and being a northeasterner, we experience autumn head on from like late October, depending on the year, through late November, and it is glorious. Everything from the temperature, the sweaters, the boots, the pants, the trees, the foliage, and as Suqqu had written, just the colors that you witness during these changes are just remarkable, and I think they beautifully captured that concept. The minute I saw the photos, I was like, I need to have everything. Of course, I am grateful for the opportunity to have a relationship with Suqqu, and they were nice enough to send me a few selects. And a note about the retail information: this collection is scheduled to drop at Selfridges July 25th. Now, if you would like to secure your items, I would highly suggest that you directly contact the Suqqu counter over at Selfridges. Unfortunately, if you would like to qualify for free shipping, you will need to hit, I think, $150. If you would like to order from the Selfridges site and you don't have the annual subscription delivery service, then you will have to pay $30 for the shipping. If not from Selfridges, you can wait until August 8th until the collection drops at Harrods and Liberty London. The card does not say Cult Beauty, so I'm not entirely sure if that retailer is not going to carry the Miyabi collection, but at least you have Liberty London, which I think their shipping qualifications are not as intense as Harrods and Selfridges. We have to start with this blush. When I saw that Suqqu was releasing a new blush formula, it was reminiscent of when we first heard about their melting powder blush formula that released, was it last year or 2 years ago? Unfortunately, that formula had to be discontinued because the resourcing and the manufacturing was limited and they could not continue creating such an angelic product. But we do have the new Suqqu Blurring Color Blush, a brand new product joining the Suqqu color range. It is lightweight and airy. It creates a soft glow, gorgeous gradient of color, blends seamlessly to enhance with a pearlescent yet natural finish. It's a new oil-less formula that contains 40% less, that's almost half, less than the typical blush formula, to create a more natural, healthy look. Reducing the oil content also prevents the powder particles from sticking to each other, so it stays looser and finer, allowing for a softer and more seamless, even finish. Now, I have 2 shades here, and you probably saw in the footage when I compared the compacts that the Blurring Blush Compact has a matte case versus a shiny case, and it has the magnetic closure as opposed to the mechanical one that we saw with the Pure Color Blush Compact when it first released with Suqqu years ago. And I believe there are 6 shades. I requested shade 05 and one of the limited shades 101. I know 101 looks light, and I just had a little bit of FOMO and took advantage of the opportunity. If I had a choice, I was going to go for the limited color because that would be tougher to buy online. 05 is the sepia pink and rich brown. Are you surprised? Pinkish brown helps to create an end of summer tan feel and helps accentuate bone structure. 101, the pale beige and airy blue limited edition shade, combines milky beige to add a youthful glow with a translucent pale blue to give a pearly yet dramatic highlight. Not a dramatic highlight on me, but when I discovered when applying 101 for my YouTube short, which I think I'll upload either tomorrow or the next day, keep a lookout for that. that. I use this for under the eyes because even though this color doesn't have the same reflectivity as my Dior filter or any of my liquid highlighters or even powder highlighters, it does deliver a soft glow of highlight, especially if I want it to appear more blurring under the eyes and on my cheekbones. So it's not going to look distinctly highlighted, especially if you're around my complexion. If you still want the shade, because when you see the powder, the actual gradient is gorgeous. I just had to try it, you know what I mean? And 05, my goodness, it is a beautiful color. I'm looking at the card now because the other shades just look phenomenal. And in terms of the texture, first of all, there's no fragrance. Yay, check mark. It feels slurry. There is pearl in the formula. I'm not entirely sure if you can tell. That's the swatch on my finger. I'm not sure if the light and the camera will pick up the pearl in here. It's not glittery, however. You're not going to see any chunks of glitter or too much of a metallic finish. I think the pearl is there to make up for the fact that it has less oil, because pearl, I believe, just recalling a conversation I had with one of the associates at Natasha Denona's store in New York, which I don't think is no longer open, but she was speaking about pearl and its role in a formula, that it adds a little bit of that smoothing and silkiness to it. So without the oil, but still wanting a little bit of that blend and fluidity on the skin, they probably had to bump up the pearl content. And looking at a pearl color blush here, it has pearl as well, but it's a little tighter in the pan. And the new blurring has a little more fluidity to it. It feels a little more smoother and definitely easier to pick up with the brush. I think you saw in the demo how color rich it is. So I would say yes, it is definitely more similar to the Pure Color blush, but advantages are it's not going to have as much oil, so it will be on the softer matte side. It still has a fair amount of pearl in there, so it's not completely matte. Perhaps we can classify this as more of a demi-matte formula, likens to Pat's Divine Blush, but Divine Blush, I believe, has a lot more oil just from assumption than what the Suqqu blurring blush has. Easy to blend, silky on the skin. It's like a veil of color that easily just works with the contours of your face. And again, in regards to 101, although this might not serve as a highlight on my skin tone, it does add dimension in adding a little bit of brightening, if you will, under my eyes, on the cheekbones, and also because it is a blurring formula, it will smooth out the texture here on the cheekbones. It's a hit. It is a hit. Now, do I like this more than the melting? The melting powder blush formula is in a league of its own. I think because it's a unique formula, it's almost like a cream mousse as opposed to like a powder slurry texture. So those with drier skin types might still prefer the melting formula over the blurring formula just by default, because the melting, I think, definitely has a lot more oil than the blurring formula does. And because of this more creamy moussey texture, it just slides and glides on the skin, and I think definitely one of Suqqu's most outstanding formulas out of all entire makeup categories in their brand. But the blurring blush ain't bad. I think it's excellent, and I will love the other shades. I will love the other shades, and I look forward to other shades that Suqqu will release, because this is not going to be the end of the blurring blush, okay? This is a beautiful introduction to the lineup, and having these colors set it up for autumn winter, my goodness. I'm definitely, well, I can't even tell. I would love to get the pink one and what appears to be more tangerine-y. I can't tell by the photo, but I love all of them. Going into the signature color eyes, I was pleased to find out that I was able to receive both color quads. Usually I'm only able to receive one. Inspired by the ever-changing colors of the autumn sky, shades of red and mauve are often found in the morning and evening, can easily build to create your desired intensity of color. 140 is chic red and wheat brown, a mix of vivid warm neutrals inspired by sunrise. This palette is ideal for monochromatic looks across eyes, lips, and cheeks. 141 sky mauve and silky purple, a cooler matte inclusive of an autumnal lavender. This palette represents the sky at twilight. Ooh, my favorite time of day, adding a soft glamour to the eyes. Now you probably saw that ombre pan, because when I saw the ombre pan, I was ombre on it, all right? Stupid. From both, 140 is definitely more my wheelhouse, because that maroon, or how would I classify this? They call it chic red. It's definitely more of a desaturated red, more like a brick red for sure. I think maroon will probably have a little more plum in there. But my goodness, first of all, the ombre shades are a lot of fun, because if you mix it together, you'll have a softened version. In the case of 140, you'll have a softened version of the brick red when you mix it with that beige ivory. Or you can just take some of the beige ivory and use it on the brow bone, which I think is exceptional. I like that there's distinction. It's not just there for decoration, it is functional. I have the higher shine metallic shade, which is like a beautiful light beige. The gold, or I guess I would classify this more of a beige gold, and this formula is not as shiny as its counterpart, as its neighbor, but I do like the softness of it, and I can use this on the center of my lid or even on the inner corner. And the metallic, I'm just mentioning this because I recently reviewed Addiction Tokyo, not the entire brand, but the eyeshadows, the blushes, and a few lip products. Out of the 6 formulas that Addiction Tokyo has, I guess the closest would be the pearl formula, but I didn't find anything in Addiction Tokyo that emulates this softer metallic texture that I adore from Suqqu. It's one of those eyeshadow formulas that you can just use one and done. It looks beautiful on the lid because it does have that sheen, but it blends softly as a matte where the edges appear diffused and blown out. They don't look harsh. You don't have to use a matte with this formula, and I think just exceptionally easy to apply and blend, especially for a beginner. And the color itself, I think, can just be used for that beautiful brick red haziness on the eyes that definitely emulates autumn. I mean, talk about nailing the concept here. And I loved how this eye turned out. And the ombre, these are mattes, but they definitely have a little bit of sheen to them. They're not exactly flat matte where there's no pearl. There's a little bit of pearl in here. It almost reminds me of the blurring blush formula, and I think it adds a little bit of smoothness to the blend and nice pickup too, because the powder is soft and not hard pan, so you can really get some color richness there. 141 is the silky mauve, the purple. They say lavender, I say orchid. I guess they're kind of the same, but this is giving a little more than pastel. I was actually quite pleased with the shade and the color richness of it. I applied it on the center of my lid here, but today I applied it on the inner corner instead and overlapped with the more yellow, or I guess I would say a warmer champagne metallic. Ooh, the shine on this is insane. And the plum is definitely softer. It doesn't have the same body of color like was found in the muted red in 140, but I do enjoy the shade, and again the texture of it makes it easy to apply on the lid and just whip it through the crease and lower lash line. Now the ombre shade on this palette is much softer. As you can see, it's more of like a mauve rose paired with a pale pink. It doesn't have the same distinction as you find in 140, but it's cool because I use the mauve rose to blend out the edges of that plum metallic, but I could also use it to blend out the edges of the lavender sheen satin pearl eyeshadow, or even the high shine pearl. So between the two, as much as I love the colors in 141, 140 definitely has a little more depth of color. So if you're my complexion or deeper, you might want to go for the 140. But if you're deeper than me or lighter than me, the cooler shades will have more pop, right? For sure. And you probably have a better handle on the dial of intensity if you don't want as much. If you're paler than me, then 140 is going to look red. Super red on you. I don't know if you want to go for that look. 141 is definitely the softer out of the two. The Comfort Lip Fluid. Now they used to call them fluid fog to indicate that the formula is more soft matte. I'm not entirely sure if they're using the same label for that, but what we have here, a barely there feeling feather light liquid lipstick, provides a natural blended look. Soft semi-matte texture appears to shine subtly from within for a lively glow. One of Suqqu's more unique lip formulas, 100%. It definitely is a liquid lipstick, but it's not like a matte liquid lipstick. It has a creamy, moussey texture that's easy to apply and great color payoff. I went for the limited shade. I had to go for the yellow brown 112 limited edition shade for a more daring, more brightening to the tail of summer. So the color that's just hanging on to that summer season, that's the one I picked. For the permanent shades, we have 09 True Pink, a rosy pink that is soft enough to enhance any look, and 10 is the Jewel Wine. The semi-matte wine red suits a range of tones, adding a touch of drama or transitioning a look from day to night. Gotta have it. And lastly, we have arrived at the Moisture Glaze. Now, if it's the first time you're purchasing from Suqqu, you will need to purchase a separate case because the Moisture Glaze lineup comes with refills and the case. So make sure if you would like it to appear as an actual lipstick product and not just this, which isn't bad. You get the cap, so not all is lost. But if you actually want the compact case, make sure you get the case. And just to remind ourselves what this Moisture Glaze lipstick can do, an innovative formula that glazes the lips with a rich glossy film. Lips are drenched in hydration, stays locked in. The radiant lipstick adds a wash of color that is easily buildable. Now I didn't pick the limited shade because 103 Icy Pink, not that I don't like that color, because I do have pink shades, as I bought the limited edition pink shade from Blossom Beat from Selfridge's recent sale. I might get 103, but I had to get 11. Milk Brown, perfect for autumn. You're right. Fashionable shade, complements and elevates any look. I had to get the word or words Milk Brown. I mean, up my alley, 100%, had to get it, and I'll show comparisons to 06 from the Moisture Glaze original lineup that released back in January. And lastly, we have number 12, the Cherry Brown. Luminous reddish pink, provides a casual elegance ideal for day or night. That looks gorgeous as well, but I had to get this shade. And to quickly show you, well, while I'm at it, let me just apply a little more on. This would look exceptional with Lisa's Shape and Sculpt lip liner in 2N. Allow me to swatch Milk Brown. All right, we got 2 swatches of Milk Brown for your viewing pleasure. And I have 06, I believe, from the original lineup. Yes, this is what, well, they called it a gray mauve. So this has a little more color than number 11. You see how number 11 is more pink and 06 is definitely a little more brown. I would say 11 from the Miyabi collection. It's like the Bomb Embrace from Lisa Eldridge if Sweet Fig and Epon had a baby. So this is Sweet Fig, right? Sweet Fig, a little more brown than number 11. But Epon, you see what I'm saying? So if you have these two, if you wanted to mix them together, you could get the Milk Brown shade from Miyabi. But what's different about the Moisture Glaze and Lisa Eldridge Bomb Embrace is the Moisture Glaze is giving more color. It's a hybrid product, but it definitely has a little more color richness than the Bomb Embraces. The Bomb Embraces are meant to be more like tints, where the Moisture Glaze is more of a dedicated lipstick product that's not going to be like their vibrant, rich, or they have like another lipstick formula in the lineup. The texture is giving bomb, but the color is in the lipstick category. Does that make any sense? And for 112, I immediately thought of the Moisture Glaze shade from well, I should grab Addiction Tokyo's Lip Serum tint. But first, this is the Moisture Glaze in 04. 04 has a little more, well, is almost like more muted compared to the Comfort Lip. And this is Addiction Tokyo's Lip Serum tint in Ginger Mood. Definitely more tint, whereas the lip fluid has a little more pigment there. So if you wanted an actual, as you saw in the footage, orange lipstick, but it has a soft matte finish to it, you might want to get 112. And that is it for the entire collection. I would love to get more blushes. I adore this formula, and the other shades in the lineup just look incredible. I have to get the rest of the Moisture Glaze. I have to. And the fluids. I gotta get the Comfort Lip fluids. But I am pleased with the quads. I think these are one of the more user-friendly quads from Suqqu. I can't recall what their quads looked like last autumn collection, but there's just a seamless quality about these quads that when I use them, it was just from one pan to the other. It was easy to mix. The textures are beautifully soft and easy to blend, and also easy to layer. You don't have to just color block it, but because again the texture is so soft, you can layer the eyeshadow successfully and not have the final look appear heavy on the lids. And if you're like me and experience FOMO and are my complexion and you're like, ooh, should I really get 101? If this is gonna be a waste, it will be a waste if you expect this to be like a dedicated highlighter on your complexion. It's going to be more of like a brightener. It's definitely not going to give you any type of blush effect on the cheeks. So what it will do is offer brightening here on the center of the face as well as under the eyes, and maybe a little brightening here on the cheekbones. It will not look distinctly pearly highlighter. Right, not like the Romance see-through veil lighter that I have, again the Dior Star Filter, or any of my powder highlighters that I have in my collection, the Dior Backstage Compacts. That's not going to do any of that. But if you still wanted this shade because it's limited edition and you don't mind it not offering those highlighting effects, but you'll take the brightening ones, then be my guest. Let me know, friends, if you have your eye on any of these items from the Miyabi collection. Again, a huge thank you to the Suqqu team for being so generous and sending me PR. I'll see you down in those comments, and until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, more items from the Miyabi collection, or maybe just a blush video speaking about the different formulas out there and which one will be best for you. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.